what's going on, everybody on Instagram? What's going on, everybody on YouTube? It's the best show ever right here. Ricky Patalico, Tyrone Johnson, 2 to 6 Monday through Friday on NBC Sports Philadelphia, 97.5 The Fanatic, 97.5thefanatic.com. A lot to get to, but some history was made with the Phillies. I want to start with that even before we get to NOLA or anything else. And that is one Brandon Marsh, who's loved in this city by and large. But we talked to Jason Stark yesterday, and he pointed this out. With one at bat, in which he didn't get a hit, it would be the worst stretch from an outfielder in over 100 years. And the stats don't go, the game logs don't all go back forever. So it very well could be longer than that. Ricky Bo, you've played in the league. You've struggled at times, mostly because of injury, but you struggled at times. You had success at times. What the heck can the Phillies do? And there's other things to talk about, but no one's been historically bad so far this season except for him. What the heck do you do? And they end up giving him 2 at-bats. It looks like he has no hope. They acted like he had an RBI the other day was just the fix.
Sacrifice fly.
Sacrifice fly that should have been a home run. What do you do when you're in a spot with a player who's historically bad?
Normally, you would send him down to AAA. And I'm not trying to be like, get him out of here type thing. Sometimes you send a guy down to AAA, you tell him, you know what, we're going to have you back in 2 or 3 weeks once we feel like you got your swing back. That could go good and bad because actually you can get sent down to AAA, and what if he's 0 for his first 20 down there? Then where is his psyche after that? I mean, he does have options, so it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I know they don't like to break up team chemistry, but sometimes you just got to say, you know what, this guy's not doing any damage on the field for us, so what do we do with him? The other options are just play him on the bench, but what good is he doing there? You can't really pinch hit. Are you going to pinch hit him like they did? Well, they did against the Giants, but I mean, it's still
a brutal mistake.
Yeah, it still didn't work out for him. I just think you have a guy right now who's very low on himself to start with, and putting him in major league games has just not been helpful lately. And I don't. Maybe it just takes one game. It could be one game where he gets 2 hits and he feels better about himself, but it's been a while. I mean, he's 0 for April.
I mean, the other part is, again, there's been a lot of people that have played Phillies baseball, and a lot of times in the last 100 years, the Phillies weren't good, and yet no outfielder ever had a stretch this bad. Like, just so we're clear, this came from Jason Stark. So if you want to think about, depending on your age watching this, if you want to talk about the gap in between 2011 and when Bryce Harper got good, or you want to talk about the 80s after Mike Smith, or the 90s after 93, or the 70s and the 60s and the 50s and the 40s, and the 30s, this never happened before.
And the thing is that, I mean, you could look at a guy like Marchand right now. He's 0 for his last 10. He hardly plays.
Right.
He hardly plays. You almost expect that. But, I mean, for a guy like Marsh, who is basically thrown out there almost every day, to go 0 for every single day, this is not a good thing. This is something that mentally he has to get over, and then physically, let's face it, physically he knows how to hit. He's been there, he's done that before, just not happening.
No, not at all. Then you have Aaron Nola, which obviously we'll talk a lot on the show today for everybody on the Instagram or YouTube. You missed it, go back and get the podcast if you didn't watch it or didn't hear it. This is the worst start of his career. Now, it's not the worst start in 100 years, like Marsh, over 100 years, but it is his worst start. What do you do with Aaron Nola?
He's going to keep pitching. He's going to stay in the rotation. There's no doubt about that. But, I mean, the one thing about him is he's all about location. If he doesn't have a location, he's up the creek without a paddle, and that's what we've seen. I thought it was weird because a couple starts ago, he walked a guy in with the bases loaded, and he said, that's like the first time I could remember doing that. What does he do his very next start? He does it again against the Giants, walking guys in. You have to be able to pinpoint on both sides of the plate, and it's not about being right there or right there. It's about with movement being on both sides of the plate. And right now, Aaron Nola, number one, his curveball is kind of floating at times, and then other times that 2-strike curveball is really good. So, I mean, to me that's inches. He's an inch off on either side. I mean, if he's making a little better pitches on either side of the plate, I don't think he would be as bad right now. But, I mean, for Aaron Nola, it's going to be go out there every 5th day and see what happens. I don't know. Maybe when the weather gets warmer, he's that type of pitcher. I don't know if that's the case right now. He's not getting any younger.
No. And then you have the situation with runners in scoring position. Now, obviously, Rojas, Marsh being historically bad, plays a part in it because if the heart of your order gets on base, well, who are the guys who would have to knock them in? Those bottom guys. But that's not the whole story. We know these guys are going to hit, but fans are rightfully right now at the moment upset about bringing back basically the same squad and then saying a lot of the same things.
Well, what we're seeing is exactly what happened at the end of last year and into the playoffs.
And the year before.
And when you think about it, they were like a 500 team for the last month and a half last year. Mm-hmm. They didn't play good baseball. They're not playing good baseball right now. They're not helping each other out. And I'm going with pitching all the way to the hitting aspect. But the 1 for 9, 0 for 10, 1 for 11, that is, I've always said, when you look online, you go to the box score, first thing to look at, runners in scoring position, because if you see one team with 4 or 5 hits and the other one has 1 or 0, there's a good chance that team lost the game every single time. And I think it's something that gets in your head too. As far as hitting goes, I think these guys start to think about it and then it kind of weighs on them. But you're right, the bottom of the order, I mean, the problem is they're getting hits. They're just not getting them at the right times. And but there's been too many situations with second and third, nobody out, or first and second, nobody out. Yeah, I mean, and when you are that first guy that can make the first out, that's the guy that's got to put the ball in play. The next guy, obviously, there's a bunch of things could happen. You could hit into a double play. You hit a fly ball and a run doesn't score. I mean, there's a lot of things that can and can't happen, but that first guy up, especially with 1 out or nobody out, with runners in scoring position, has got to come through. That's got to be the guy that hits the ball at least into the outfield to get in at least 1 run. It's easy to get an RBI. You hit it up in the outfield, get yourself a sacrifice fly if need be.
I think what gets added to that, what makes this even tougher, is the fact that the expectations are so high. Because their overall start of the season is actually better than a lot of other seasons in the past where they won. It's that the expectations were so high to go with it, and it gets extra frustrating, and you have that added pressure from the Eagles.
Yeah, well, I think that might be the biggest thing. The Eagles come in here, all business, win a world championship. I mean, and then you have the Phillies right now that have a team that should, I'm not saying go on cruise control, but they have a team that should be able to hit, and they should be able to hit the ball out of the ballpark. There should be a lot of run production on this team. Mm-hmm. You've seen it in maybe 1 or 1.5 series, and that's about it so far. And then all of a sudden they went on the road to Atlanta, and everything has just fallen apart since. The one thing is that you have to be yourself, and I don't think this team is being themselves. They're trying to be better than that, and you can't always do that. You just got to. I thought Bryce Harper the other day when he was kind of relaxed and just play the game.
Well, he hit a home run yesterday.
Yeah, but that's
another one. So.
But that's what you really have to do. I mean, Bryce obviously could be the most relaxed guy in the world. He's making $30 million a year. He's got a $300 million contract. You just go up there and play your game. He's been doing it since he was in diapers, probably. And, for other guys, there's a lot of squeezing the bat and trying to do too much. You try to do too much, and you go backwards every single time.
Well, we have that going on with the Phillies at the moment. Then you have the draft coming up, and people don't care. Now, I know people are going to watch the draft, but people don't care. Now, here's the interesting part about not caring, though. Andrew Salciunas was talking about how this year isn't Super Bowl or bust. He said it's not.
Why?
Because they won, so you can't say Super Bowl or bust. I think a lot of fans have that same attitude. And that complacency, I believe, is why so many fans are not up for the draft. I am very thirsty for this draft because they're due to Howie's choices, which could be the right choices I'm not talking about the starter guys go, but currently at this moment you have some third stringers. The trading CJGJ, and now your third stringer, McCollum, they're not listing as a starter. They're listing the third stringer, Sidney Brown. You also, Slay leaving, fine, he's an older player. You also let Rodgers walk, and now you have third stringer Keely Ringo. So in a couple of spots you have not backups, because that happens all the time.
Yeah.
You have third stringers. You're going to need this draft You need extra bodies at defensive end, defensive tackle, on the offensive line. You need bodies. The only way to get them at an affordable cost, guys that can actually play, is to draft well. That's why, for me, I'm locked into this draft, because for me, it is Super Bowl or bust. I want Philadelphia's first dynasty. This Eagles team was the best. That Eagles team was the best team in Philadelphia sports history. Even with a little drop off, they might be able to win again. But what I can't have is a steep drop off and not a repeat. I want them to be able to repeat.
And for the first time ever, they have a legitimate chance to win 2 in a row. Mm-hmm. And it's legitimate. It's not a joke. Mm-hmm. This team is still good right now. It's just got to get to the point where they get back to great again. And I mean, like you were talking about, there's a lot of holes in the defense right now. And there probably is a hole in the tight end spot that we don't know about yet.
Well, most likely. They're not going to pay Goddard $14 million.
No. And the whole thing is you have to be able to fill that in, because the free agent room that they have here right now is not going to fill those spots.
Do not think that outside of Ojulari, any of them dudes can play. There's a chance that outside of Ojulari, almost all those dudes get cut.
Yep.
Therefore, you gotta have a good draft. So that's why I'm into the draft, because they need. I don't want in order to stay at the level they need to stay at. They need a great draft.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
And that means that you're going to get Quinyon and Cooper DeJean? No, probably not, because one of your picks is in 32.
Well, DeJean fell to the second round, so you never know.
He was picked 38 or something like that, not 64.
No.
So you got to do some things.
Yep.
You got to do some things. That is our time. Appreciate everybody checking us out on Instagram and on YouTube, and we'll see you on the best show ever. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. Really appreciate it. If you want more of this content, make sure you like and subscribe. And you can do that kind of over here if you want more of the best show ever.